My name is Eric Massinda. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Sector Deepening Trust, otherwise known as Financial Sector Deepening Tanzania. So our key programmatic areas of focus are on the policy and regulatory front, so trying to ensure that the policy and regulatory environment is conducive for financial service providers to innovate and to develop products and solutions that meet the needs of those who are most underserved and excluded. Our second area of focus is financial sector infrastructure. So this is focusing primarily on relevant financial sector infrastructure that enables the participation of a majority of those who are either excluded or underserved. So this is instant payment systems. This is ID systems, financial services registries, shared platforms for microfinance institutions, and things of that nature. Our third area of focus is products and solutions. So ensuring that that the market, that the market systems work, so that financial service providers are able to develop products that actually meet the needs, or that are appropriate in meeting the needs of those who are underserved and excluded. Our last area of focus is financial capability. So this is around ensuring that more, at least from Tanzania's perspective, that more excluded and underserved Tanzanians can report that they feel confident or more capable of interacting with financial services. And this, and this is very key in sort of driving, in sort of moving from merely having access to financial services, but actually utilizing or using financial services in a way that actually makes a difference in a person's life, basically. So those are 4 areas of focus. We do have cross-cutting areas, which are, of course, gender, climate resilience, and also evidence-based research as one of the tools that informs all of the 4 output areas, as well as the 2 cross-cutting areas that I just mentioned. Oh, where to start? So I think one significant impact has of course been evidence-based research. So the FinScope surveys, which is kind of what ourselves and other FSDs are quite known for, because this is a demand-side survey that kind of gives you a lay of the land in terms of the state of financial inclusion in the country, how many people access it, how many people use it, and where sort of the key barriers are. And then working, of course, over a 4-year period to sort of address some of those challenges. Some of the most significant interventions that we've had have centered around the mobile network operators' interoperability. So this is how you enable, for example, if I use the example of M-Pesa in Kenya, like where you are able to there was a time you could only move money within your own network, but now how to move money across networks. So I remember we did work on that project with the IFC and the Gates Foundation, and even before the instant payment system that we then worked on subsequently afterwards with the central bank, this at least enabled people to move money across networks, which then allowed mobile network operators to offer additional value-added services such as merchant payments or even person-to-government payments and things of that nature, or being able to pay your utility bills and things like that. So really sort of pushing the needle in terms of usage of digital services. One other thing that we are, an impactful project that we did, was that we assisted with the rollout of national IDs for Tanzanians. So I think through our intervention, we enabled the National ID Authority to be able to provide national IDs to 18 million Tanzanians. So you can imagine now what that does, and the subsequent impact that has had in terms of uptake and for more Tanzanians to be able to access financial services, because that was one of the barriers, that there's no uniform way of identifying someone for them to actually be able to open up bank accounts or have mobile phone numbers or SIM cards or things like that. So that was also something quite impactful. And we also supported the development of the national switch that combines transactions from both banks, mobile money, and fintechs for transactions I think that are under under about $5,000 basically, which is your normal sort of everyday transaction. So this kind of now helps, we hope over time that will help to sort of reduce the overall cost of financial services, because the investment in the national switch has kind of already been made, and also being more inclusive, because it brings together different types of transaction sources, which will now include enabling more Tanzanians to be able to transact. So for 2025, programmatically, some of our priorities are around the FinScope MSME survey, which is a survey that hasn't been done since 2012, and it sort of gives you a clear picture, in terms of the state of affairs and in terms of access to finance for micro, small, and medium enterprises, what the policy barriers are and regulatory barriers are, and what recommendations can be made in terms of addressing some of these barriers that come up. So that's a key priority for us. Another area we're looking at is around the uptake and usage of ID for young people, basically, and this is to sort of drive now usage of the national ID for both access and usage of financial services as well, because an ID is sort of like your key, like one of the barriers in terms of access to financial services, but more importantly also in terms of bringing on board young people into the formal financial system. So if a young person is able to have a national ID, they're able to have an account, whether it's for where they can begin to save and sort of grow with their with that financial institution throughout the course of their lives. Another area that we're working on is on climate resilience. So we are partnering with one of the leading banks in the country, along with the central bank, to try and develop sort of climate risk and adaptation strategies for the entire financial sector. So these are mainstreamed as part of their policies, procedures, and even their core operations, basically everything. So when someone issues a loan, doing sort of a climate risk assessment of that particular, of that particular project that they're giving the loan out for, just to ensure that it not only protects the bank, but that it protects, that it comes with protections against climate risks for the loan applicant. Other areas that we're also working on is around digitization of community microfinance groups, which is also a project that we had that we're co-financing along with the Gender Collaborative Program. And this is where we're looking to digitize the transactions, not the operations, but mainly the transactions of these community microfinance groups, or otherwise known as women, as savings groups, village savings and loan associations, and things like that. This is essentially to be able to enable both the group and their members to develop a digital footprint, and then by that same measure gain access to access to additional financial services. We're also focusing on alternative credit scoring for women and youth and MSMEs in strategic agricultural value chain. So there's one that we've already developed and we've already begun testing. We're developing together with the Gender Collaborative Program a gendered alternative scorecard, which sort of takes into account the particular circumstances of the livelihoods that women in agricultural value chains engage in. Beyond that, we're also developing our strategy for the next 4 years, and also working with the government to develop out the vision of the financial sector, both as a sector in and of itself, contributing to economic growth, but also as a catalyst or as a support, like a support mechanism for the growth of other sectors as part of the development of the next vision for the next 25 years of Tanzania. So what we're currently looking at deep dives of the financial sector, and how the financial sector will evolve, will evolve over the next 25 years to support the development of that vision. So from now, so between now and 2020 and the end of 2025, that's kind of what we're focusing on. The learning, for one, because you get to share experiences with other FSDs who are probably doing some of the same, who are all working, on a common mandate, but they just might be implementing it in different ways. So it's good to learn what has worked, what hasn't, and also share sort of your own knowledge. It's also beneficial because of the ability to sell the network as a value proposition to interested funders, be they private or public funders. So there is that advantage, which also with the gender collaborative programming, as you can see, it's something that's like a program that's working across all the FSDs. Also, from from a leadership perspective, it's good to, it's good to engage, with leaders of the, with the different leaders of the different FSDs, just to share common experiences, but not only at leadership level, but even at technical staff level, where they all get to sort of interact and share, and share common experiences from work. So those are just some, some of the benefits. And also, like I mentioned, also the opportunity to collaborate on joint programs. So you'd find that, at least for now, there are 3 members who are all working on the same sort of thematic area, so on alternative credit scoring. So we're able to collaborate and learn from each other. So it's helped us to think of, to really, everyone talks about gender mainstreaming, but sometimes it's just paid lip service. So for us, our strategy is really all about women and youth. The Gender Collaborative Program, both from a technical assistance point of view and from a financing point of view and from a program design point of view, have helped us to think and to develop more ways of systemically becoming more gender intentional in terms of the design of our programs, in terms of our engagement with policymakers and regulators, to ensure that even as we are developing or helping to either review or develop a new regulation with the regulator, that we always try to be gender intentional, to ensure that whatever regulations or policies are being proposed or initiatives are being proposed, that they take into account the circumstances that women deal with and the constraints that they deal with, and ensure that you're either creating additional pathways for women to be more financially included, or at the very least that you are aware of certain constraints and that you're not making the situation worse. So essentially enabling us to be, I would say, the true value of the program, aside from the financing that they provide, of course, is that whole systemic way of thinking of how to be more gender intentional in implementing the activities that